Paul, what does the FA Cup mean to you?
It means quite a lot, to be fair. I've always enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it as a player, and I've enjoyed it as a member of staff. I enjoy the fact that you're out of the cauldron of the league games for a bit. So I'm not saying it's like a fun game but you do feel like it's a different sort of pressure. And I have been fortunate in a few games. I have played many non-league games, and I think we were talking about it today, so this is tempting great fate, but I think every game I've managed in, we've always gone a goal behind. In one game we went 3 goals behind, but we still managed to win. So I know the intensity of it. I played non-league till I was 23 as well, so not as good a standard as the conference either, so I know how much it means the other end. So I always liked the FA Cup, watched it as a kid. Ironically, I think it was Ronnie Radford who died recently. I always remember his goal, absolute classic. So yeah, it always means a lot. So it's a nice competition to be part of, and you don't know if you win a couple, you might get something that is a good memory for everyone who lives in the city.
What are the different challenges of facing a non-league side then?
A lot of things really. I think respectfully, the lower you go down, the more random football is. So if you watch Man City, Liverpool, it's all pretty coached, and there's patterns, loads of patterns to play. And the further down the pyramid you go, there's less patterns to play, and it's more. And they can all play, by the way. So let me just put it there: everyone can play football to a certain level, but it's just more random, even more so when you're away from home, more passionate. So you have to There's no disputing the fact the first 20 minutes they'll absolutely come out the traps, because there is no pressure. Apart from personal pressure and pride, there's not so much pressure on them, so they can play a bit freer, which is a lovely feeling for them as well. They had a really good win midweek, so they're going to it full of confidence, but you have to match their intensity. And I think until you've played in them games, you can say it I'll say it to the group again today, but you can say it as many times as you like, until you're there, you haven't felt anything like it. It's completely different. I think the atmosphere is different, the intensity is different, the refereeing is different. Everything's a bit more forgivable, and you have to stand up for the challenge in that, and you have to do everything right, because sometimes the underdog, it drops to them in the right place. It's a great story for everyone apart from those connected to Derby County. So that's the difference for me.
Is there a sense that you sort of are dealing with a little bit of what you'll deal with on Sunday all season though, because you're the big fish in League One, and everybody sees playing Derby County as a big occasion? That's what you'll come up against at Torquay.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're one of the big fish, aren't we? There's quite a few in this league this year. So yeah, I do agree with that. So we will, and we do have that difficulty to a certain extent. So I think in the games in League One, an early goal is great because it just knocks the enthusiasm out of the opposition. Whereas, the other night, I thought we started the game really well, missed a couple of really good opportunities. They scored just before half-time and then makes it a tough game. So, and the FA Cup will be no different. If after 25, 30 minutes, Torquay from their play deservedly take the lead, then it gives all them players a real boost of belief and a real boost of energy. So that's why you've got to try and start games on the front foot and try and quash their enthusiasm, because the true characters of that dressing room, the opposition's dressing room, will come to the furore, especially if they take the lead. So that's my fear as a manager, that you've got to try and impose yourself on the game.
You'll be facing a very experienced manager, Gary Johnson. I don't think you've come up against him before. Can you imagine 1,200 matches in charge? I think you're on about 300 at the moment.
No, obviously no. It's took his toll, 300. No, he's been a brilliant manager, done really well. I've played with, know his son really well. I'm pretty good friends with him, to be fair. So, and I played for Yeovil, so I know all the achievements he's done at Yeovil. I know how popular he's there. I know how he's got promotions. I know how he gets the best out of his teams. And I know, they were unlucky last year. So I know a lot about him. He will definitely have football league mentality. He'll make them not feel like the underdog. He'll make them feel $1 million. I know they've made loads of signings recently, loads of loan signings, which has given them a boost. The win midweek gives them a boost, and he'll make them feel like they can be carefree but have to play in intensity. So, excuse me, it makes the game even harder than it possibly looks on paper.
With the aspirations you have and with the issues you have at the moment, and thinking in terms of bodies, how much of a priority can you make the FA Cup this weekend?
Well, every game we play in, we want to win. So look, I could do an interview purely on the woe us, like, you know, we've got this injury, this suspension coming up, this injury, you know, but it's pointless. Like, there's people going to watch the game, there's people watching it on telly, there's our own personal pride. Look, we want to win. So even if we lose, I won't come on after and do an interview and go, well, that's good because we can. That's rubbish. I'll put the strongest team out potentially I can put out. I haven't got any really I can rotate anyway. So it is like, this is us. This is where we're at the moment. It's 3 games a week. Like, boo-hoo. We just have to be as good as we can be and give ourselves a chance to go through. Like, if we don't go through, I'm not going to say I'm going to, you know, be mortal, you know, cry in a room on my own for 3 days. But it is what it is, and that's how football is. And it will be a random game. I've said that already. We watched a couple of their games, and they're 2 different games, 2 different systems. So I know how difficult it's going to be. And yeah, and we'll put everything into it to win. We want to win. There's no disputing that.
And a few days into your 5K challenge, how the legs feeling?
Yeah, good. All right, thanks at the moment. Yeah, all right. I have to do it first thing though. If I do it later in the day. And in fairness, Hammy on the way in said, look, if I don't do it first thing, you won't see me do it at all. So I mean, at least he admits his fragility in character. At least I would still do it. But Hammy's it's now or never sort of guy. So he's now eating his breakfast, well happy with himself. But yeah, it's good. You know, and it's good to. You want to suffer. There's no point doing a challenge that you don't suffer. If I come in here and you kindly ask me every week how it's going, and I go, oh, absolute breeze, then you're entitled to say, well, do 10 then. It's pathetic. So I can't say I'm enjoying it, but I'm enduring it.
Do you run together, the 4 of you?
We run the first K&a-half together, and then it's like, come on, mate. In fairness to Amy, like, he's probably not as a natural runner as me. So, yeah, so we chat for a bit, and then as soon as his breathing turns into Darth Vader, I leave him, and so I'll see you back at the far post, really.